Welcome and let your journey to soul expansion begin. I'm your host, Kristen Kaczynski. This show will take you on a journey of expansion, encouraging you to release the limitations of your mind and lean into the wisdom of your soul. Remembering who you are on a soul level will help you release your conditioning, expectations, limiting beliefs, fears, and worries, and evoke a life expanded by your energetic alignment. Whether you're an entrepreneur who wants to grow your income and impact, or someone who knows in your heart of hearts that you're made for more, this podcast will help you awaken the power that's already inside of you, allowing you to attract an easy flow of money, clients, opportunities, and fulfillment. In each episode, you'll learn something new, expand your consciousness, and you'll walk away with a glimpse of what's truly possible for you. If you're ready to follow your soul's calling and live a more expansive life, you're in the right place. Welcome, and let your journey to soul expansion begin. Hello and welcome to the Soul Expansion Podcast. I feel like my voice is a little bit deeper because I think I just got over the big C, the big coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever the fuck we call it. I just got over that about a week ago, and I feel like there's still like lingering phlegm in my throat, but it makes my voice sound like sexy. So we're going to roll with it today. But I'm really excited to record this podcast because the energy I'm in today, I was recording some things for a program I launched as like a one-time thing in February, and I think you're listening to this in early March, so the program's running right now. But the program is called Vixen, and so I actually spent the entire day getting into the vibe of Vixen. And what the program was all about is, tuning into like this millionaire, deeply empowered, deeply abundant version of yourself who knows that nothing is out of reach and she's worthy of it all. And so I spent like 2 or 3 hours just putting myself into this energy and creating content from that space. And kind of why I wanted to do like an energetics tune-up for this episode that I'm recording now is because I think so often we start out the year with a lot of momentum and a lot of energy behind what we're stepping into. And we start to put ourselves into the vibration and take the aligned actions that are going to lead to the manifestations we're calling in. But what tends to happen, because we're human beings and our comfort zone is super attractive and we have a tendency to go into unconscious patterns, what tends to happen is over time, typically by March when you're listening to this, or, at some point later in the year after January, we slip back into old patterns and we slip back into old versions of ourselves. And what's interesting and what I've really come to understand with healing is that you have to keep consciously choosing the new version of you until the old version of you no longer exists. And it's kind of like climbing a mountain in the beginning. So a lot of the work I do, it's, healing past versions of you, healing your inner child, healing unconscious patterns, and, releasing limiting beliefs so that you can step into the future version of you, right? Like that's basically like if you were to sum up what my work is, that's what it is. And what I've noticed through, almost 2 years of healing and facilitating healing with clients is we do really great when we are, sitting down for a coaching call or sitting down to do a healing. And we, get ourselves into the energy of our future self, or we release past patterns, past limiting beliefs in the moment. But then after that, we kind of slip back into the unconscious. We slip back into the conditioned mind. And what I found to be abundantly true for myself is the real work and also the real challenge is finding a way to tune in to the future version of you and to the woman or man or person that you want to become. Find a way to tune into that every second of every day. When we think about manifestation, when we think about holding the vibration, holding the vision, It's not about the 10 minutes a day where you journal, or the 10 minutes a day where you visualize, or the 1 hour coaching call you do once per week or every other week, right? Like, yes, those things help. Yes, those things create expansion, probably more than if we didn't do those things, right? But it's also every single moment in between that matters so, so, so much. So what I want to encourage you to do, and what I'm going to kind of guide you through today, is starting to be able to catch yourself when you're not intentionally trying to be the future version of you. And making new choices and shifting your energy and adopting new belief systems throughout the day, and not just during your morning or evening routine or your coaching calls. So what does this look like? This looks like noticing when you're going unconscious, right? And for business owners in the online space especially, the number one place you go unconscious is on social media. And I know this because I am you. And that is the number one place where I go unconscious. When I'm on social media, it is so easy to revert to a past version of myself who feels disempowered, who feels not good enough, who compares herself to other people, who, looks at her profile and picks it apart and tries to look for things to fix or to fixate on, right? And social media for me is a gigantic trigger for my inner child and my unconscious patterns. And so the number one tip I have for you for an energetics tune-up is to set really strict boundaries around your social media usage. I try to set a boundary of less than an hour per day on the app. And for me, that app is Instagram. I don't always succeed in that, especially if I'm like creating content, like going live or something. But I think it's a good goal to shoot for. And I have other things in place that clue me into when I'm on the app too long. So I have a weekly calendar reminder every Wednesday that literally says, am I spending too much time on Instagram? And that's just one of the boundaries that I've set for myself. I have to be reminded when I'm slipping back into an older version of myself because of the Instagram app. And I think it's pretty likely that maybe you need that reminder too. So that's just a really quick and easy way to make sure that you're not falling into old unconscious patterns. Because what happens when we're on something like Instagram or TikTok or whatever is sometimes it's to trick ourselves into believing that we're working on our business. And, you could call it a business activity. You could say that you're engaging or that you're posting. But in my personal experience, and I'm not saying this is true for everyone, but in my own personal experience, 9 times out of 10, when I say that I'm working on Instagram, I'm actually not. I'm actually wasting time, numbing out, scrolling, looking at my profile for the bajillionth time, looking at other people's profiles, comparing myself, reading captions, getting down on myself, right? Like it's such an addictive application. Wow, I just said application. I don't know why it came out like that, but it's such an addictive app that 9 times out of 10 when I'm on it and I think, or I'm trying to convince myself that I'm working on my business, I'm actually not. And so much of the work that I do that actually moves the needle doesn't happen on the app. So that would be my first super actionable tip, is to set better boundaries around your social media apps. But another thing I want you to think about when we're thinking of an energetics tune-up and staying in the vibration of the person we want to become by the end of 2022 or whatever your personal deadline is, it's looking at what energy we're making decisions and taking actions from. So this is something that I really started to embody in late 2021 and definitely in 2022, is that it doesn't even really matter what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. What truly matters is what energy is behind the doing, what energy is driving the action, what energy is behind the decision. And so whenever I'm doing something or taking action on something in my business, anytime I think of it, so pretty much every single day, multiple times per day, anytime I think of it, I check in with myself and I ask myself, okay, is this being driven by scarcity? Is this being driven by an inner child part? Or is this being driven by my millionaire woman? Because for me, I want to step into my millionaire woman this year and I want to make $1 million. And that is a huge goal for me. So it's not something that is realistic at all, but I don't believe in realistic goals anymore. And so it's a regular practice that I do. I check in with myself and I say, okay, why am I doing this? What is the energy behind this? Is this coming from my millionaire woman, or is this coming from a version of me that feels like she has to do to receive, that she has to prove herself, that she has to achieve, etc., etc.? What you will notice is when you're coming from the energy of your millionaire woman, the actions you take are 10 times more powerful, 10 times more potent, and move the needle 10 times faster in your business, if not more. So when you're coming from your wounded childhood part and you're posting on social media because you feel like you have to post, and if you don't post, then you will be forgotten and abandoned and no one will love you. And I say this, kind of like with a sarcastic tone, but that's like actual childhood parts that I have. So you very may well have the same childhood parts or a version of them. But when we're coming from that energy and we're posting, it's like we're diluting the medicine. We're diluting our message. We're diluting our power. And we're not showing up in our fullest expression. And we're also not showing up in the version of us that's very attractive, right? Like our childhood parts, our wounded parts, these, conditioned mind parts of ourselves are not necessarily the most attractive version that we can, share with our world, right? However, when we're able to come from the empowered version of ourselves, the version of us that we want to become, that is super attractive to our audience, to money, to, being able to receive other business opportunities, because it's a lot more empowered and it's a lot more powerful. And what I've noticed is just by doing that simple practice of asking myself, okay, what energy am I showing up to do this task? And like, why am I doing it? When I slow down and I ask myself those questions, I either don't do the task because it's coming from a wounded part that's trying to get a need met, or when I do the task, it comes with like so much more potency and such a more powerful energy behind it that ripples out across the energy field and like just moves mountains when it comes to the results I want, right? And the live broadcast I did today was a perfect example. I put myself into my millionaire woman energy before I went live, and I could tell reviewing it, after I posted it, I like to review and just like see what I said and, just absorb whatever went down and make sure I like it and I don't want to like redo it. Not that I typically redo my live broadcasts, but I just like to check on myself. Maybe that's an insecurity I have. But I like to rewatch my live after I post it to make sure I approve of it or whatever. And when I watched it after, spending 2 to 3 hours to put myself into the energy of my millionaire woman this morning, I was blown away by myself. And it just made me realize that I am really powerful, but I have to be able to activate that within myself in order for that to be translated across space-time dimensions to my community, to my audience, right? Like I'm not at the place yet where I can just flip a switch and turn it on, although I have been working on it more and more and more, and I'm getting better at it for sure, right? But today I just really deeply wanted to be in millionaire woman energy, like from head to fucking toe. So I gave myself a manicure, I curled my hair in like the most bougie way possible, I did my makeup, I did an embodied movement practice, like this was like full on millionaire Kristen day. And so I was able to, take that time to put myself into that energy. And as I reviewed the live broadcast, I was like blown away by myself. And I actually witnessed what millionaire Kristen looks like. I actually got to see what it looks like when I take the time to activate myself into this powerful, empowered, potent, juicy, sexy, confident energy. And it moves mountains for sure. I can just tell the difference in looking at a live broadcast from months ago versus looking at a live broadcast now, where I took the time to prime my system. So all of that is a personal example to say, explore why you're doing something and explore the energy behind the action. If you're doing something from a disempowered energy, it's going to be translated across the field. Your clients are going to pick up on the fact that you're feeling not good enough, whether they know it consciously or they're just sensing it and they're feeling a contraction in their system, right? So we have to start to really clean up how we're showing up in business energetically if we want to start to see the impact translate across the field and across our bank account and across our platforms. I think too, of the types of coaches that I've looked up to throughout my journey, this is really what sets them apart. They've done the inner work or have the natural talent or, take the time to get their energy right, whatever it is that they have to do or choose to do. That is what really attracts me to them and, causes me to look up to them is the energy they hold and the vibration they embody. And so when we can start to really take that seriously, then we become someone that people look up to, someone that people are, really excited to hire, someone that commands clients to her with her energy. But it starts with the energy behind the action. It starts with the vibration you show up with in your business when you're posting content, with every action you're doing. And so another practice besides boundaries with social media that I would love for you to consider implementing is little throughout the day check-ins. What energy am I bringing to this? What energy am I in right now? How am I approaching this action? Is this action coming from the millionaire version of me or whatever you identify with? Or is it coming from a disempowered version of me? And how can I shift into the empowered version of me so that this action becomes 100 times more effective, reaches my people with 100 times more potency, and actually starts to move the needle toward the goals I set for myself this year?
As a listener of the Soul Expansion podcast, you know how impactful our unconscious or subconscious thoughts can be, especially when it comes to attracting, receiving, keeping, having, and holding money. And one of the best ways to start to reprogram your unconscious mind is through the power of clinical hypnotherapy. And as a special treat to podcast listeners, I have a free money mindset hypnosis just for you, which is going to allow you to let go of beliefs that are currently holding you back when it comes to attracting money. Hypnosis, by the way, is not mind control. It's not voodoo, scary magic. It's really just allowing you to go into a light trance where you're super relaxed and your unconscious mind is open to receive suggestions. So you can rest assured when you listen to the Money Mindset Hypnosis, you are safe, you are protected, you are loved, and your subconscious mind is so powerful that if there is a suggestion that for some reason doesn't align with your values, it'll automatically reject it. So you're not being controlled by the mind. You're only allowing yourself to receive new beliefs at the subconscious level that are supportive for your money goals. So if you want to get your hands on the Money Mindset Hypnosis, go to mymoneyhypnosis.com. Again, it's completely free. You just enter your email address and you get an instant download, and you can start reprogramming your unconscious mind for all the monies starting today. So again, it's mymoneyhypnosis.com, and I hope you love it.
Okay, so my next tip for you for doing an energetic tune-up is to explore areas that no longer serve you and do a bless and release of those things. So there are things in my business that I'm actually not going to voice over in this specific podcast because I'm not 100% done deciding this, but I'm pretty sure I know the decision. Anyway, there are things in my business that I am considering letting go of because they don't feel energy giving anymore. And I am taking the time to examine those things, to sit with them, to explore them, and to ask myself, okay, am I holding on to this program, this activity, this thing because it's coming from millionaire Kristen? It's coming from this really empowered energy of this is going to, get me to that $1 million and I'm so excited to keep doing this? Or am I holding on to this from a place of scarcity, from a place of like laziness, from a place of like, well, it's there, I might as well keep it there, right? So, looking at those areas of your business and cleaning up the energetics around what you're keeping and what you need to bless and release, what you need to let go of, what you need to retire, what you need to shed. Because we have to optimize our businesses, especially as we're getting to millionaire level or even multi six-figure level. We can't just keep everything. We have to really streamline and find out what is actually serving the mission, what is actually going to move the needle toward our goals. If we just let everything kind of like sit and stagnate, it's almost like, when you have like an overflowing closet and there's like all these clothes that like no longer fit you, or they just no longer fit your energy, and they're just sitting there taking up space and weighing you down, right? And so when you open your closet, it's like exploding with things and you can't actually see what you really want to wear. And the same is true of our businesses. We can get into this energy of holding on to things that no longer serve us and aren't even like relevant to our bigger mission or vision for ourselves and our business. But we hold on to them because either we're lazy and we don't want to do the work to retire them and replace them, or, just get rid of them entirely. Or we're coming from scarcity and disempowered energy, and we think that we have to keep them, or we should keep them. Or maybe there's even a part of us that says, I put all this work into this thing. I can't get rid of it now. I need to hang on to it, which is kind of like in economics. By the way, I was an economics major in college. But in economics, we call that like a sunk cost. I think that's what it's called, like a sunk cost, right? Like you already sunk the time, energy, and money into that activity. So there's a part of you that's like, oh, well, I can't just get rid of it because I sunk all this money into it and this time and this energy into it, so I may as well keep it. But actually, from an economics perspective and from an energetics perspective, that money, that time, that energy is already gone. Holding on to it is not going to bring it back. And it's also not going to give you more time and energy. It's going to continue to sink time, energy, and money if it's not actually serving the bigger purpose. So that's another beautiful energetic tune-up you can do in your business this month or this quarter. We're approaching Q2 now because we're in March. We're approaching the next quarter. So that may be a beautiful practice you pull in to do a little tune-up in the business. What do I need to bless and release? What do I need to let go of? What is no longer serving the bigger vision? Okay, my next energetic tune-up for you is, what do I need to stretch myself into? And what am I out of integrity with, right? So this is like a multifaceted one, but they really go hand in hand. So let's start with integrity. When we are out of integrity with what it is we say we want, we actually can't get what we say we want. So if I want to make $1 million this year, but I'm, operating like a six-figure entrepreneur or a multi-six-figure entrepreneur, I'm out of integrity with my desire. And so a beautiful thing to examine as an energetic tune-up is, okay, where am I acting out of integrity with what it is I desire, with what it is I say I want to accomplish this year? For me, this usually comes to a head when it comes to my investments and when it comes to new areas of growth in my business. So I realized in the spring of 2021 that I was out of integrity with myself because I didn't hire a mentor that I knew I wanted to work with, I knew was going to stretch me and push me, and I knew would serve my bigger vision. I was avoiding hiring her because I wanted to quote unquote save the money. But again, that's coming from scarcity energy, right? So typically, if there's one area where I consistently see people out of integrity with their desires, it's with investing or expanding their business in a certain way. You can't ask for the $1 million year or the six-figure year if you're still investing in your business and expanding from the energy of, a $50K per year business, right? Like, $1 million business, let's just stick with that number because that's what I'm growing into. $1 million business has to push, change, grow, and evolve in much bigger ways than a multi-six-figure business needs to do. And so you're actually out of integrity with what it is you say you want if you're not taking those actions to push, change, evolve, stretch, and expand yourself. And I think that's, something I really came to terms with last spring, so about a year ago. But it's something I also consistently see with people in the online business space. You say you want a multiple six-figure year, and yet you're still operating from the energy of the version of you that makes 5K per month. You're looking at these expansive investments, these things that will push you to grow, change, and evolve, but you're not actually investing in them because of some scarcity-based, fear-based belief. So examine that, look at that. And maybe it's not coming from scarcity energy, because there are times where I have chosen not to invest in myself because it was an empowering decision to do so. So it's not like a black and white issue. However, I do see very, very often that we say we want the $1 million year, or we say we want the six-figure year, but we're operating like someone who is stuck in scarcity mode, stuck in limiting beliefs, stuck in the energy of limitation and constriction and comfort zone. And so we have to check ourselves and see, okay, am I out of integrity here with what it is I say I want? And where do I need to grow, stretch, expand myself in order to get back into integrity? Oftentimes that's investing in yourself, or it's adding something to your business model. So for me, one of my initiatives this year is going to be adding in PR, adding in advertising, paid advertising, and possibly adding in YouTube. Now, I don't know if all three of those are happening, but I know at least one of them absolutely needs to happen if I'm going to expand into $1 million. I'm also adding back in TikTok. I had a TikTok before that I had to delete because it was the fitness niche, and obviously I am no longer the fitness niche. So, that's something I'm adding back in, and TikTok is one of those wonderful platforms where you can grow very quickly. So that absolutely serves my bigger mission, right? But it would be so comfy to just hang out on Instagram and to just record this podcast, right? And I could easily talk myself into doing that. However, if I want to operate at this $1 million level, I need to stretch myself. I need to expand my impact and my voice and where I'm being seen and heard. There's just no getting around that. And so we have to check ourselves and make sure we're actually taking the actions and doing what it's actually going to take to get to our goals. Okay. My last area of energetic tune-up. This one is a little more slow pace. It's a little more present moment energy instead of future energy. And yet it's also so incredibly important. So another energetic tune-up I would recommend, especially as we move into Q2 toward the end of this month and in next month, is celebrating how far you've already come and actually really truly seeing your impact, your growth, your expansion, everything you've already done, and especially everything you've done recently. This is a extremely recent breakthrough I had less than 24 hours ago. I always bring you the most recent things on the podcast. So about 24 hours ago, I realized that I never actually could really truly see myself. And I couldn't really truly see the growth that I've gone through over the past 2.5 years. And my mentor flat out asked me, can you see that? And I wasn't really surprised because, I do enough work to know myself. But I was kind of surprised the answer was no, because there's parts of me that are yes, I've grown, I've changed, I know it. But I never actually stopped to see it. And there's actually a big difference energetically, I believe. There's a big difference between knowing on paper that you've grown or knowing based on things that you've done and things that you've been through that you've grown. There's a difference between that and actually witnessing and being present with the fact that you've grown. So it's the difference of writing it down in your journal entry and looking at it and acknowledging it and saying, hey, look, I've grown. Or, if you're looking at your finances and you're looking at it and you're acknowledging it and you're like, hey, look, I've grown. It's the difference between that activity and actually viscerally feeling, seeing, and experiencing the growth that you've already been through. And so what I'd like to do to close out this episode If you are not driving or operating heavy machinery and you're in a space and an energy where you can close your eyes and do a very quick little meditation with me, that is what we're going to do now. And so I'll invite you to take 3 deep breaths just to settle your system. And as you feel ready, go ahead and close your eyes. We'll take those 3 deep breaths now, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. And what I'd like you to do now with eyes closed, wherever you're sitting or laying down, or even if you're standing up, I want you to imagine stepping outside of yourself, outside of your body, and then turning around to look back at yourself. So go ahead and do that in your mind's eye. And I want you to see yourself as you are today, as you are in this now moment. And I want you to recognize how far you've already come, how much you've grown, how committed you've been, everything you've been through. Your belief in yourself, your choice to keep going. Just recognizing yourself and really seeing it. And seeing it now. So we're not reflecting on a past version of ourselves and celebrating her. And it's okay to do that sometimes, but that's not our purpose right now. We're actually seeing you. You're seeing yourself as you are right now in this moment. And we're realizing that you are enough. And we're recognizing all the growth that you've been through. And we're celebrating you as you are right fucking now. And we're committing to this belief and this knowing that you are worth celebrating right now. And so really let yourself feel that. As you look back at your own body, as you look back at your own self, really let yourself love you in this moment. Really let yourself feel proud of you in this moment. Feel it. And then let yourself feel grateful to you in this moment. How grateful are you for you right now? And witness how amazing you already are. how powerful, how embodied, how abundant. Witness how amazing you already are right now. And let yourself be inspired by you right now. Let yourself be amazed by the person you already are. Really feel that. And if you'd like to place this on pause to keep marinating in this feeling of self recognition and self love, feel free to do so. Or if you're ready to come back, maybe hold your body, hold your heart, or wrap your arms around yourself. As you step back into your own body, and you let the version of you that was looking at you and the version of you that you were looking at to integrate and become one. And feeling the love, the recognition, the celebration, and the gratitude fill up every cell of your body. Realizing that this is always available to you, that you could do this every single day if you'd like. And when you're ready, maybe rubbing a part of your body, stretching, moving, and go ahead and come on back, opening your eyes. And just notice what's different now that you've actually seen yourself, recognized yourself, and witnessed the magic that you already have. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do next week because I might take a break and mix things up a little bit, but definitely hit subscribe if you love this podcast. Definitely rate and review. That's like the number one way the podcast grows is when you rate, review, or share it on your IG stories. So anytime you do that, it's like you're giving me the biggest gift in the whole wide world. And I just love to experience that and receive that. And it also, it supports me in knowing that this podcast is valuable. I have no way of knowing when I send this out into the void that you actually enjoy this. So rating, reviewing, or sharing the podcast with a friend or sharing the podcast to your social media is just a really powerful way for me to know that this is worth doing and that you're getting something valuable out of it. So I would love it if you feel called to do that. And until next week, I'm Kristen Kaczynski, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.
Thank you for honoring your soul's calling today and taking the time to listen to this episode of the Soul Expansion Podcast. If you have a question you'd like featured or have a topic idea, I would love to hear from you. Find me on Instagram at Kristen Kaczynski and send me a DM with your request. Remember, you are a truly limitless being. The limits you see now are only an illusion. Whatever it is that you desire, that's already yours. It already exists in the universe here and now. You simply have to awaken to what you already have. And I hope this episode brought you a little closer to that truth. If you love this episode and would like to give from your heart and appreciation, please take a few moments to screenshot it and tag me in your stories on Instagram, or write a brief review on your favorite podcast platform. Your voice truly matters, and your feedback helps to spread abundant expansion to a broader audience. And what a gift that is, right? Just think about how much abundance will come back to you if you help a friend experience their own soul expansion. And with that, I just want to say thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, I'm Kristen Kaczynski, and I